Hello, hello. I'm back. It's been a while. All right, so I wrote a blog, and basically, this video is the video version of the blog. It's called The Science and Spirit of Long Distance Reiki or Remote Healing. They both work, so the name really doesn't matter. It's just that Reiki is a different kind of training. That's all. So, some people might wonder if long distance Reiki or remote healing really works. And I love science. I'm kind of a science geek, but without any official training. I just love to read. So, I'm going to read my notes. I'm just going to dive right in. And please feel free to comment, ask questions, reach out to me. I love this stuff so much. Okay, so to put it very simply, I'm Teresa. I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm the owner of 11th Hour Shaman, and it's basically my job as a shamanic practitioner to hold my clients in my thoughts and my prayers while entering a healing state of consciousness. So, all that means is a higher emotional frequency of love, gratitude, wholeness, peace, enlightenment. I'm not somebody who has been enlightened. I've just had really amazing enlightenment moments. And so I call on that memory of those moments when I work with my clients. And joy, that is another high healing frequency. So these are all measurable states scientifically. The frequency is a measurement of science. And also, when I'm working with people, I call on that deep, deep connection and memory of connection to source, to love, meaning source love, divine love. Some of the memories that I have of oneness is what I could say, of source literally living in my body, in my heart, and seeing and experiencing all at the same time. This felt experience of source living through all life. And it's just the most amazing, incomprehensible, yet beautiful thing I have ever experienced. And so those are the types of things I call on when I'm connecting with my client, and that's in person or long distance. And these are healing states of consciousness. So I also created a video hands-on for hands-on or hands hovering Reiki or healing sessions, and that's called the Mesmerizing Science of Reiki. And I can put that link in this video below. So the long distance symbol in Reiki is used to basically acknowledge and affirm that there's no such thing as time and space, and all healing and wholeness is present right now in this moment. Dr. Joe Dispenza refers to this as the eternal present moment, and in quantum physics, they talk about that a lot. So it's hard to wrap my brain around that there's no such thing as time and space, but there's these moments where you can feel it, and it brings peace, it brings joy, it brings empowerment. And so I'm deeply grateful for that knowledge and the ability to practice that knowingness that there is no such thing as time and space, and we can heal right now. In every single moment is an opportunity to experience healing. There's no healing that's too hard for spirit, so we just have to be open to letting love heal us. So what I want to discuss further is quantum physics and how it applies to healing and our sense of well-being as a whole person. Body, mind, soul, purpose. I believe it's understanding quantum physics and the true nature of our DNA that will remove the veil to spirit and our unlimited potential. So, okay, now we're going to dig in to all this quantum bliss. I've got so much research. Okay, so there's this really fat book called The Vibrational Medicine by Dr. Richard Gerber, MD. And we read on page 314 about a long distance healing experiment conducted on rye seedlings. This is important that it's rye seedlings, not the type of seedlings, but the fact that that's seeds. So, from 600 miles away, the healers visualized the plants being filled with light and energy. At which time, the same exact time, the electromechanical transducer measuring device recorded an 840% increase in the rye seedlings growth rate. After the remote healing treatment, the growth rate steadily decreased, but never back to its lowest original growth rate. The seedlings were forever altered to a higher baseline growth rate than before the healing treatment. So this brought up so many questions for me, which I'm going to share with you here. Like, what is possible here with this? I wonder what would have happened over time if the plants were given a treatment once a week for, say, 12 weeks. I've read studies done on Reiki for 12 consecutive weeks, and I've conducted my own studies with amazing results. So then I can't help but wonder, what if we just tried it for 12 weeks to give plants healing energy, long distance or in person, compared to plants that don't receive any treatment at all, or just one treatment in 12 weeks. Maybe we could have 3 groups. Maybe I should conduct the study, but I don't have a measuring device. Okay. I wonder what would have happened if the plants had received these healing treatments of light and energy throughout their entire life cycle and their own process of generating new seeds. Would those seeds and plant children have a greater seed potential and higher growth rate than non-treated plants that went to seed and grew their children? What if they did this for several generations? What could this mean for our own human growth and healing of all natures? Our physical, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual growth and wellness. What could this mean for fertility and creating new generations of children that are healthier and filled with light and energy? How would this affect sperm and ova? How would this affect a developing fetus as it develops its own sperm and ova for its future? What impact could this have on our human DNA and our human DNA potential in one or many generations cumulatively? Do you see why I'm like, what? This could be absolutely amazing for the evolution of humanity for goodness in this world. Anyway, as proven in studies I share already in my video, The Mesmerizing Science of Reiki, energy healing always brings health and healing to the body, but we're just scratching the surface of what's really possible, obviously. We'll get to that after the plant and cloud particle chamber experiments. So another experiment was conducted on remote healing from 600 miles away, but this time the effects were observed on a cloud particle chamber instead of plants. So they were able to track the vapor trails of subatomic particles, and that was recorded and they were found to develop a coherent wave pattern at the time of the healing experiment from 600 miles away. As the healer 600 miles away rotated her hands 90 degrees, so did the wave patterns within the cloud chamber. You can read about this in Vibrational Medicine, pages 314 through 315. And then they quote a study, The Reality of Healing Energies in Healers and the Healing Process by J. Ringe Publishing. So Theosophical Publishing, Wheaton, Illinois. All right. Actually, vibrational medicine has almost 2 full pages of cited studies for hands-on, hands-off, intermediary, which is like water or cotton natural fibers, and long-distance healing. 2 full pages of cited studies already done. And this was a long time ago. The reason using plants and a particle chamber are significant, in part, like to me, just in part, is because it removes the skeptic's dismissive excuse of the placebo effect, believing it's all in the patient's mind or client, whatever. So to that I say, read Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo, and then you will no longer think a placebo is a dismissive concept. Okay, Dr. Gerber writes, one might literally say that the time for magnetoelectric energy to move from the mind of the healer to the experimental setup or the patient or client is limited only by the speed of thought. Indeed, such energies are reflections of the higher vibrational characteristics of consciousness at the etheric, astral, and higher dimensional levels. That is Vibrational Medicine, page 316. Doctors Elmer Green and Norman Sheely documented that during remote healing, there was a synchronization of brainwave activity and other bioelectric rhythms between the healer and patient during the healing process. That's page 320. Another research, Maxwell Cade, also found that healers achieve biological rhythm entrainment in person and remotely during the healing process. This was published in The Awakened Mind Biofeedback and the Development of Higher States of Awareness, New York, 1973, Dell Publishing. Biological entrainment teaches the healer, so somebody like me and maybe somebody like you, teaches the healer how important it is to maintain a healing consciousness. So how does biological rhythm entrainment occur even across great distances? Sharon Begley of the Wall Street Journal Online published an article on October 2005, and it was about quantum physics entanglement observations, also known by Einstein as spooky action at a distance. So this proves that no matter how far apart, even clear across the universe, entangled particles of light settle into the exact same motion at the exact same time, even when these particles were too far apart to exchange signals. When one was measured, the other instantly showed the same kind of vibration. Other research proved that particles who have never met and share no previous history still display spooky action particle entanglement. So in my blog, I share the link to that article. Then you've got more modern day studies, Dr. Joe Dispenza and the HeartMath Institute. They've conducted so many studies proving biological heart coherence entrainment via non-local or remote healing. So it's non-local, long distance, or remote, it's all the same. I suggest reading any and all of his books, honestly, but his most recent book was published in 2017, Becoming Supernatural. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. Their non-local healing effects are discussed on page 303 to 304 of Dr. Joe's book. His book explains quite clearly the science behind how we can heal ourselves and others through learning to hold a higher vision and elevated emotions, the ones I mentioned. So elevated emotions isn't just a term for positive emotions or feeling good. It means literally that those good feeling positive emotions emit an actual elevated frequency compared to lower emotions such as shame, guilt, fear, hatred, blame, resentment, etc., right? So every thought we have is a chemical reaction in the brain that triggers stress chemicals or healing chemicals. These chemicals strongly affect our entire nervous system and the function of our hearts and our brains, known as coherence, or, non-coherence if you're stressed out. So this affects our body's entire vibrational frequency. The brain and heart together create an electromagnetic field. We often refer to that as the aura, but some people prefer to stick with scientific words like bioelectromagnetic fields. And within this field, based on our thoughts and feelings, we are always broadcasting a message in this energy field. And this is information that we are giving off based on our thoughts and feelings. So this thought, feeling information is in our energy field, but also spooky quantum entanglement proves that we're not limited by the proximity of our auric field to any point, particle, or person in the universe. Our potential to affect change is always present and connected to our state of consciousness and our intention. So it looks like this. I put a picture of lemons. Life happens. Lemons, lemonade, all of it. So that's going to trigger thoughts and sometimes an entire belief system. This thought or belief system sends out the signals to the body for either stress or healing chemicals. And this is going to be released, which we interpret as emotions or feelings. Our emotional state is the fuel, the gasoline for our actions to be driven by fear and stress frequency or love, gratitude frequency. Our emotional state either closes us off or opens us up to intuitive reception and the choice to follow through on that intuitive hit. So courage, for example, is a much higher frequency than shame and guilt and fear. So it is below love, but it's still extremely useful because you're calling on the trust of love to use that courage in your heart. So anyway, all right. Meaning, okay, so we follow through, meaning that our emotions drive our actions and behaviors. So that is fight, flight, freeze, or avoid. What? Avoid? Anyway, love, connection, flow. So these are the things that we are driven to do by our emotions. These actions driven by our emotions lead to specific results, the ones we want or the ones we don't want based on our thought, emotion, action process. The results, such as disease or pain or suffering, will always lead to proving you're thinking right, even if your thinking is actually not based in truth. So what these studies on remote healing teach us is that we can bring our nervous system back into a coherent state of being that generates or triggers healing chemicals throughout the body, which, as you'll come to see more clearly as I read, it will positively affect our DNA. So I've had clients experience physical issues resolve as well as shifting major mental emotional blocks. So one of the examples I share, she said she had a long distance Reiki with me, and I did send her a report afterwards of everything I felt on my end of it. And she said I was super accurate. But the first time she gave me Reiki and herbal recommendations for pancreas pain, the effects that she experienced from the healing session was no pain, lasted for months, could absolutely recommend her as an herbalist, energy healer, and shamanic practitioner. So that was with one session. And so, as I said, with the rye seedlings, like, what if we just kept going? Wouldn't that be amazing? Dr. Joe's and HeartMath Institute are proving that elevating our emotions heals and protects our DNA. And that's just one positive aspect, because they've also found that in just 4 days, we can increase our immune system function by 50% in 4 days. Thank you. Lengthen our DNA telomeres. Yes, that protects our DNA. So I want all of that, and I want all of that for all of you. Okay, where am I? So I'm just sharing here. As a practitioner, it is vital to practice holding ourselves in elevated states of being while connecting with the divine infinite source, because our energy field communicates with our client's energy field, whether in person, 600 miles away, or totally across the universe. That's who knows, right? And science has discovered that we humans only use about 1.5% of our DNA, and the rest is called junk DNA, because some scientists haven't figured out what it's for and they don't know what it does, so they just call it junk. However, Dr. Joe points out that because of the biology principle of endowment, which says that nature does not waste anything. So think of your genes as a library of potentials. Since 1926, scientists have known that our DNA absorbs and emits light. As I shared in the blog Energize Your Soul, our junk DNA uses light communication called biophotons and has all the features of human language, such as syntax, semantics, and grammar. Our DNA has a vibrational behavior that scientists call wave genetics that shows DNA reacts to language, thoughts, and beliefs if the proper frequencies are used. I also believe that there is a light language. I don't know or remember, like, if this light language is something that probably most of us don't remember or know how to speak. But I think it's an angelic or spirit language, and I've heard it with my physical coming from the outside ears. There were angels around me and near me. They were talking to each other about me and how they could help me and heal me. And I only knew that because of their energy, and then because of what happened. So they were near me and speaking with each other about me. They were very lovingly speaking about me. And they were using a language that I didn't know and recognize. And I know that this is called clairaudience when we can hear these types of things. And I also know I am not the only one that experiences this. And it's not like this happens all the time, but it's definitely happened more than once. And one of these angels, so I'm hearing them talk about me, and then all of a sudden, one of them, like, in my eyes were closed, I was meditating. I saw her come to my face in my mind's eye, and she touched me right here. And as soon as she touched me, I immediately felt a surge of energy begin to flow through my body. It was very warm, and it was so warm, and it felt like I could see light, and it just started flowing in a very specific way and in a very specific direction. And so now I feel like they heal me and they teach me at the same time. And this has been going on for a long time, where I need something and they do something for me, and then I am meant to do that for my clients. And so I integrate it now into my sessions based on a person's needs. It's not for everybody, but just depends on what's happening. So anyway, I think that's kind of amazing. And I just imagine that the light that they communicates with our DNA that fills every cell in our body. So back to our DNA. I believe that what Dr. Joe Dispenza is teaching us is that our light language communicating DNA is 98.5% of who we are, Excuse me. And it holds a library of potentials for us. These unexpressed latent genes are simply waiting for us to activate them via our elevated emotions. On page 139 of Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, he shares just a few of these potentials waiting to be activated by the emotional energy that we run through our bodies and run through our DNA. So he says, for an unlimited genius mind, for longevity, for immortality, for an uncompromising will, for the capacity to heal, for having mystical experiences, for regenerating tissues and organs, for activating the hormones of youth so that you can have greater energy and vitality, for photographic memory, and for doing the uncommon, just to name a few. Additionally, I want to share that near-death experiencer Penny Whitbroad, RN, tells her story of when she died and crossed over, God pointing for her to see God in her junk DNA, where she learned that God made us on purpose for a purpose and loves us unconditionally. Do you know your purpose? Can you see now how Reiki and energetic shamanic body work can activate your potential and help you in your healing and your soul's purpose? So mind you, I don't believe that we need to understand quantum physics nor our DNA for the veil between us, spirit, and our unlimited potential to be removed and experienced. But it's sure fun to learn about. I love this stuff. Every time I read somebody's healing story from Dr. Joe or learn about some quantum physics and healing and time and space, I just love it. I soak it all up. And learning how to apply this quantum DNA information can shorten the time it takes for some of us to evolve in a more permanently high vibrating being on purpose, filled with radiance, filled with light, filled with health, filled with vitality and elevated emotions, while feeling the bigger picture of life as it unfolds. This practice can help us be mentally and emotionally self-regulated, or what I sometimes call spirit regulated, as we experience many of the ups and downs and plot twists of life. So we can learn to move through emotional waves with surrender and grace until, maybe sometime, there's just not an emotional wave. We just sense deeply that it's all okay at the deepest level and the highest levels of existence. Many of my loved ones are going through some really tough times right now at the time that I wrote the blog, and kind of right now too, because they're close together. And I would just like to offer that even in grief, of which I've had a very large portion throughout my life, we are promised that those who mourn shall be comforted. And I believe it's through this science and spirit knowledge and practice, daily practice and weekly support, that we open ourselves up to feeling that great comforter deep within us. An angelic infinite peace that truly surpasses all human logic and understanding unless experienced firsthand. Because how many times have I tried to explain to somebody, because they ask, how do you do it? And I tell people my beliefs and they just don't get it because they haven't experienced it yet. And so I just want to encourage everybody, you can heal. And I believe spiritual healing is the fastest way to heal and the deepest way to heal. And it does take daily practice. Practice. not perfect. So it's a daily practice, not a daily perfect. So this is why I believe that those that mourn are truly blessed, because grief can activate our higher soul seeking for peace, comfort, and relief from our pain and suffering via healing practices like prayer, meditation, herbal medicine, and shamanic body work, such as local and non-local Reiki, for example. So in my experience, grief and mourning have been an opportunity to bond with my compassionate helping spirits, to feel the oneness of God, the oneness of infinite on purpose, like meaning it is part of my life's purpose, but also I choose with intention to connect with God on purpose, because that's the only kind of peace that is truly lasting and the most healing. So this doesn't erase grief or make us immune to grief just because we know the truth and have experienced the truth. That doesn't make us immune to grief and loss and change, but it adds to grief a deep, palpable, comforting sense of divine presence and peace. So it's like grief plus spirit equals open window to God within us. Is that an equation? Let's just say it is. The light emitting DNA is just a beginning to understanding our ever-present connectedness to source. I haven't shared in a video yet, but I shared it in my blog that one of the dreams I had that was just life altering for me on an internal healing level was that I saw and felt that the sun in our sky, the sun lives in our hearts. And behind the sun, back of the power of the sun, was a silhouette. I saw a silhouette outline of source, so that I knew. That's how the dream shared this experience. And that all lives, source lives inside our hearts, inside our DNA, inside every bit of us. Most of us is space anyway, when you understand quantum physics. And God is in all of it. And source light, source love is inside of us already, filling us always with love and the opportunity to feel that love, open ourselves up to feeling that love. And that's why I love this work so much, because it really opens us up to feeling loved and cherished and receive healing, which everybody, I would think, would want healing, mental, emotional, spiritual, mental. Did I already say that? Physical as well, though, because there have been times where I might have a pain. I was in an accident in 2018, and so sometimes my spine goes out of alignment and I have a lot of pain. And just through prayer and visualizing basically that God light, source light, love light, angel light, whatever light is of the highest vibration, I imagine that filling up that part of my body, and it just it heats up and it vibrates, and then the pain goes away. All I can say is thank you. Thank you so much. And it really takes a lot of presence to do that, and I don't always have it, because sometimes I am off kilter. And so this is a practice. I don't want you to think you have to be perfect as a practitioner or perfect as a client. This is just life, and we're doing the best that we can in any given moment. So there's always a choice to seek comfort from either addictions and numbness or the oneness of God. We can choose false comfort through addictive, self-limiting thoughts, feelings, and behavior loops, or we can seek comfort through the divine. As you can see in these long distance and in-person studies, inviting a healer to give you treatments will benefit you on a quantum level of unlimited potential, both seen and unseen. So your frequency will elevate, the shadows will be vaporized, the light and the quantum shifts will occur. And in the hands-on, I shared that they did a study on hemoglobin. So typically we can't tell when our hemoglobin levels rise and fall unless we're just paying really close attention to our energy. But even that is affected. Our enzymes are affected. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it, The Mesmerizing Science of Reiki. It is amazing. And this kind of work really helps to bring harmony to your nervous system, which affects every single system in your body, to bring it back into peace and healing. Your body knows what to do, your spirit knows what to do. So together, you can't help but get better, right? All right, Reiki and other modalities, shamanic bodywork are known to have a positive cumulative effect on every aspect of our beings, body, mind, soul, purpose. And just like the rise seedlings, we will be forever altered above our before baseline of growth potential, inside and out. So if you would like to schedule your, what I'm now calling quantum bliss on purpose, give me a call, shoot me a message. You can even email me, Teresa at 11thhourshaman.com. All right, thanks for listening. This was long, but oh my gosh, wasn't it fascinating? I hope you love this stuff as much as I do. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye. Oh, no, I will say bye as soon as I find that button. It always takes me a moment. Bye.